Okay, we are starting the recording. And of course, my camera doesn't work, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I will share the screen. Yes, don't worry.
Yeah, I just forget it by myself always, so yeah, I just wanted to double check it.
And it's that sort of window.
No, it's not. Put the win, not like the whole screen, but okay, seems working, I guess. But maybe you can ask online if it's.
Yeah, can you still say whether it's showing online? So, I mean, give thumbs up or put it to the chat. Okay, I take it as that as that you can see it. Just I need to. Till zoom a bit in order to.
Please join this somehow that you are having it.
I send it in email to teachers. Okay, yeah. So about the possibility to deploy the web applications to CSC Rahti service. So as a recap, CSC is the IT Center of Science. It provides all the internet, even the kind of the main lines, as well as supercomputing services for all Finnish academic sector, and including the universities and research institutions. Could you mute it there?
Yes.
And then we are going to, or we have the possibility to use the Rahti service from CSC. It's there are a lot of different kind of like services there, but this is meant for running containerized workloads, applications, and whatever, just backends, for example. Also front ends if you want to put them there. So basically, when as a small prelude, so when you are using Docker, you are basically dealing with building individual images, Docker images for running some piece of software. But when you are using this Rahti, then you are using this orchestration platform. So it's a flavor of Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is a kind of a platform and technology for orchestrating many containerized pieces of software. For example, the full normal web application could be having that database that is containerized separately from the backend that is containerized in a Docker image, and then front end. So there you would have like already 3, and these kind of like orchestration platforms, they help in running those, so you don't need to individually run everything. Like bigger holes of platforms or software, they might have like tens of different containers, so it's much easier to deal with them in this kind of environment. And Rahti is Kubernetes flavor by the name of OpenShift. So the OpenShift is both open source project based on Kubernetes and also product by Red Hat, which makes also the Red Hat Linux. And in the OpenShift project, the kind of additional functionality has been added on top of the vanilla Kubernetes to make things even more simpler to handle there. So you can find these instructions on the use from the Softola project Moodle software course project course Moodle front page, and unless you have credentials to CSC already, you need to go through that step and log in with your Haaga-Helia credentials using Haka login at CSC. I cannot show it now, but you can readily find it there when you log in. And then in first time around, it creates also this CSC account for you as part of that. And then those CSC username is something that you will need to be using in the CSC services, Rahti included. For example, when we have projects there, then we need to add other users like your team members by the CSC username. They are not by your Haaga-Helia username. And these instructions are kind of like a short summary of what you should be needing. For example, when doing deployments during this course, we have this general page by Haaga-Helia on top of CSC instructions that have like a broader set of instructions, but so that you don't need to go through all of them, we have this short list of things to do here. Yes, they have been updated, these Haaga-Helia instructions now for Rahti2. The only like the downside here is that they are currently only in Finnish, but then again, if you use some browser that can like translate them to English, then you can work with those instructions.
These instructions that Markku encouraged.
Yes, Markku has been doing these together with CSC actually. Yeah, and the kind of the updates that have been put there now, because there was this change from this earlier Rahti1 open beta system at CSC to this current Rahti2 service during summer. So it is a bit different, but it's more different in terms of the graphical user interfaces and perhaps some features, but the bulk of the instructions have stayed the same because they are command line based instructions. So the command line things haven't changed quite that much. And when you have the CSC account, then there's possibility to establish CSC projects for various purposes. Also, as student, you have, or as a teacher, possibility to establish a new project, but that is like a kind of extra unnecessarily step for the purposes of this course. So I have established this Softala project, so you can join this readily, this project, and there's readily the link for that. So you just, when you have your credentials, you can go to this invite link, and then you will apply through that entry to this Softala CSC project, and I will accept you there after that. And then in order to access Rahti, there's the login page for that. And when you go through that, then you end up in this Rahti dashboard. It has like it has like two views. It has developer view and then this admin view. And this is now a place where you do need to establish a new project. So even if you are joining the CSC project, there's a separate concept of Rahti projects. So these Rahti projects are actually namespaces in the cluster. So when you are establishing the Rahti project for your application, then you are separating that application from all the rest of the applications with this namespace that is created in terms of that project. And in the administrative view, there is this possibility to create a new project. So this is what you need to be doing, and you can do it like this. And the one thing that you need to do here specifically, it would be good to actually establish the project in a sensible, distinguishable name. But the one thing that you need to be doing is to link that Rahti project to the CSC project that you joined. And we have the details also here for that. So for the description field, you need to give the this CSC project and the number of that. So this is because there is, even though the CSC resources are free for academic sector in Finland, they want to, of course, like track the use of those resources and learn from that how they need to develop the infrastructure and the resources therein. And for that purpose, there are these billing units that are assigned to projects. So in order to connect the use of resources in this new project, then you need to link it that way to the CSC project. And if you have not joined the project, this will fail. And if you provide some number that isn't there, this will fail. Okay, now I have the new Softala demo project here available. Then I can switch to that from the developer side. And basically from now I can either start building the deployments or doing the deployments, building the images and deploying the software using these examples that are in this documentation. There's, for example, the Spring Boot Java application deployment, as well as React application deployment examples there if you are using the command line tooling. But then also you can do it in the graphical user interface in a quite straightforward fashion. So there's possibility to deploy directly from Git repos the different pieces of the software. So, for example, I have this fork of this repository that some students did in Software Development Project 1 course during springtime, which is this quiz application where you have a backend with a database where you can generate quizzes that then by teachers that then students from separate React front end can answer. And I'll take the repo already. The URL from here, it's an open one, so I can readily access that. If I would have closed repo, then of course I would need to provide some credentials to the OpenShift for accessing that. But I can, for example, here now put first in place the database. So we have in the developer catalog all sorts of services, some of which are Postgres on other databases, and I just select them there and instantiate, and they automatically create also the secrets related to use of that database. So now we can see in this topology view that the container is spinning into use. So now that it turned dark blue, then it's basically running there. And then I can start adding the other things. So if you have this system, this Kubernetes system, OpenShift system, it has its own container registry. So if you have already some images there, which you can separately push there yourself also, then you can deploy from those images readily. But then this is the option for deploying from the repos, and basically you can do that in a couple of different ways. So once you put the repo URL to this import thing, then it detects some preferred deployment strategy. And now that there was a Docker file already in that repo, it recommends using that, because that should be the best definition of how the software should be containerized. But if you look at the advanced Git options, then there are other options to this. So the Git reference can be anything from branch to like it says there, to tags or commits. So for example, in this repo, there's a separate production branch. So the application is deployed based on that. And regarding import strategy, for example, besides Docker file, there's a possibility to use the builder image. I have tested this as well myself with this repo. So at least for this Maven-based Java backends, it's there's readily, and it detects what should be used for that. So it has the builder images for many of the technologies used. But for example, I didn't find any React-related one yet. So with React, you might need to define that Docker image or Docker file yourself in the repo in order to have the proper build commands and such. But okay, let's go with the Docker file, and then you need to also come up with some application name and name. The other one is used for labeling the resources and such, and the other one is also used as part of the default URL with which the deployed service is then later available. There's a certain limit to the length of this, but otherwise it's pretty free. But it would be good, of course, again, to use some descriptive naming. There's also possibility to tune some build options. So if you have environment variables that your build needs to consider, then you can add them here manually or from some config map or secrets that are already in the system. And as it shows here, it will also by default configure a webhook build trigger. So when you have a new commit in that production branch, it automatically triggers a new or build of new Docker image based on the new version in the repo, and then deploys that automatically in place of the old application or the old, in this case, backend. But we don't need to touch those in this example. Then deployment-wise, of course, there can be in many instances need for those secrets. So, like I said, some of the things taken from the catalog, they readily create secrets for the use, like the PostgreSQL instance created the username and the password, so you can just block them from here. And there's four different like things needed by this particular application. So I will now take them from an earlier example. And then the Postgres URL we need to, it's otherwise the same as before in this instance, but then we need to look up the address of the database. So with each of these pods, there's a service associated with that. And here you can see the internal IP address within the cluster. And we will put that here in place of the old one. Okay, and then which is a separate the step in when you are working with the CLI tools. Here that is also integrated. So in order to expose the whatever you are deploying to public IP, then there's this create route here, which you can also configure, but it does it automatically with the default options, and it puts the name of the application to that URL as well. So now hopefully we don't end up with demo effect as previously, but let's see. And now we can see in the topology that it's starting things. This indication here is about the build running. Here's a link to the repo. And then when this turns into that dark blue again and the pod is deployed, then you can open the public endpoint or the public web interface through this URL here. And you can have a look at the build, how it's going. So now it's going still through that for some time. It's using a bit more recent version of OpenJDK in this build that is defined in the Docker file of the repo, whereas it seems that perhaps the for Java builds the JDK version or the build image available in the cluster when you are directly pulling the source and using that to build, then that is a bit older perhaps. But any questions while we are waiting for the application?
I would like to disturb the recording too much, but there was a way to download the CLI tools. Where was it downloadable? There somewhere in there.
It's actually mentioned here in the steps. So here's yeah.
the CLI stuff does everything I suppose, like sort of the same as the graphical user interface.
Yes, yes. As it does, the CLI does all the same things, but of course, like then you need to do it in more steps because there's individual commands for all the things. So the build is success, and let's see. I guess there might be just still like some image pushing step going on here. It is still running a bit, yeah. Now it's putting the image to the container registry or the image registry in the cluster. Now it shows that the build is complete here, and actually now it should be deployed. So basically we should have the application running here, but perhaps it's spinning still in the use. Let's see. Oh, it's starting up perhaps, yeah.
It kind of says in the log that it's started.
Yeah, it should be. It should be there.
What one is this REST API?
Now it's there. Yes.
Can maybe stop the recording quite soon.
Yeah, one thing to mention here is that if you need to deal with trouble here is that there's separate like build configs that are being defined when you do these builds and separate deployment configs that are being created as well. So you can find the builds here, and at least on the admin side, you can then find the deployment configs if you need to change something regarding some application. So separately for those two. But yeah, let's stop the sharing and we can stop the. Yes.
That one, yeah.